one single time period which is common through all the data flow from various stages, one stage to the next, because it is a dependent, it keeps on changing as the delay of the various blocks. Which blocks? Malloy element, function block, and the done signal. So in a 4-phase protocol, we are looking at the latency expressions, because it is not so simple as we have in the case of a synchronized pipeline. So as I was saying that, because here the signals move both ways. The data moves forward as well as, or the request moves forward, control signal. At the same time, acknowledgement signal moves backward. So here we define two latencies, LF and LR, that is L forward, latency forward, and latency reverse. And very simple to understand in any pipeline. How do we understand a forward traveling of the data? That means data over here moves to this location on a data line. So one step ahead. How much time does it take to move one step ahead? Okay, so we move from here. So in order to move from here to here, the data has to create a done signal which goes as a request to Muller C, which enables the function block to process it, and then the new data is available here. So LF is LD plus LC, or TD plus TC plus TF. Very simple. One stage movement. How much time does it take to move from one stage to the next stage? And we define a reverse latency, that is data or the acknowledgement signal from here moves in a backward fashion. So this to this. This is stage, from this is stage. So this is my acknowledgement. Look here, it moves from here and it comes back to this. Okay, acknowledgement is, can you see the completion signal or the done signal serves a dual purpose. It goes as a request to the next block and goes as acknowledgement to the previous block. So acknowledgement to acknowledgement, so from here to here. And to do this, it has to move through this path. Okay, move from here, Muller C element, function block, and the done block. I think there is there a problem? Let me see, because it seems a problem here. Because if I see a done block over here, C, F, and D. Okay, correct. It's correct. So moving from this completion to this completion. So starting from here, it has to C, F, and D, because there would be two transitions. As I said, because there is actually a data which is twice. Every data flow is separated by a reset spacer there. A pre-charging happening. A reset spacer is there. Okay, so it has to, we have to take an average of, because there is a reset spacer, we have to take two data, their delays will be different, and then we take an average. So that is what is shown by the up and going down delays. Okay, TF, TD, TC, and once again TF, TD, and TC, and then you take the average. Okay, so this is what is for a 4-phase protocol. Latencies are described in this fashion, and pre-charging operation is the reset operation. Pre-charging operation is the reset operation. Remember that. Okay. So now, I want to reduce the latency. So aim is either reduce each component, design such a way that reduce each component. Reduce TF, reduce TD, reduce TC. Or second approach is knock off the terms from the latency expression. Knock off. Suppose I have LF is only as TC, and knock off TF and TD. My latency will reduce. Similarly, if it is only TD, knock off TF and TC. Can you knock out certain terms so that my latency expressions reduce, less time taken by the pipeline to move forward, as well as in a backward fashion? So my pipeline will become fast. So how to knock off? Now we have to see now two techniques by which it can be done. So whenever you have a stage enabled for evaluation, so if I look at this diagram, okay, Initially, it's a 3-stage pipeline which is being shown, and all the pipeline is initially in a reset mode. And then the first data comes. First data comes, it is enabled, and this goes into the evaluation mode. Initially, when I say all are reset, means they will be in a pre-charge mode. They all will be in a pre-charge mode. Then the first data comes, request comes, and then we get a data process, and the data moves to the next state. Data moves to the next state. So this is evaluation, this is reset, still reset. Now in the next cycle, this will come to evaluation, and this will come to the hold mode. This will come to the hold because it has to retain the data unless this finishes evaluation. So sequence is this. Okay, this comes to evaluation, this comes to hold, and this is still in a reset phase. And then one more step ahead. Now this is evaluation, this is hold, and this again pre-charges. Reset, pre-charges. It pre-charges itself. So when it pre-charges, as it is now, you can say make it prepared to accept a new data, because now the evaluation will begin in the next step. So can you see the sequence that every block has to go through evaluation, hold, reset. Evaluation, hold, reset. The sequence in which every block goes through. This is how the pipeline will work. Okay? So that means now if I look at my expressions. So when a stage is enabled for evaluation, so this is enabled for evaluation. That means this has finished pre-charging, and this is this is about to evaluate. This is in a reset mode, and it will have a evaluation due. In the next cycle, this will be evaluating. Clear? Okay? Understand very clearly. If this stage is in the evaluation, it can send the data forward only when this has completed pre-charging, and this can evaluate. So once this evaluates, then only this can evaluate. Till then it has to remain in the hold. I am saying that it can evaluate only after this finishes. Predecessor can evaluate until the stage finishes its evaluation. Only after that. Okay? Till then it has to remain in the hold mode. And this can evaluate only when this finishes pre-charge. Otherwise, what may happen if this evaluates earlier and data is available here, and this is still in a metastable condition, pre-charging has not finished, because data will come. As a result, my output node may evaluate, because my pre-charging is not finished. So my data is arrived earlier. As a result, the request signal, remember the footer domino? That footer domino is not completely off. So I can have a wrong value, because this must be a pre-charged value. This stage must be in a pre-charged state. This is evaluation. So remember, this can evaluate only when this finishes pre-charge. And this can evaluate only when this finishes its own evaluation. Till then it has to remain in the hold. Remember that, this sequence. So now I try to now modify my latency by keeping this operation as it is. Because if the operation is not correct, then I have a corruption of data, or data race may be there. But I have to reduce my latency, forward movement of data and backward movement of the acknowledgement signal. And I know that initially my expressions are TF, TD and TC, and LR is half of TF, TD and TC plus TF, TD and TC. It is half of that. So I want to knock off certain terms from here. So what I do? Okay? So now we say, look at the successes. You have a stage. Now this is all 3-stage pipeline. Okay, 1 stage, 2nd stage, and 3rd stage. If I concentrate at this stage, okay, so when this is evaluating, or this can begin evaluation only when this finishes pre-charge. Remember that. For operation of the pipeline to be correct. When this finishes pipeline. So what I say now, that do not delay evaluation of a stage until the successor has finished pre-charging or resetting. Do not delay. Remember, my operation says that you can evaluate this only after this finishes pre-charge. I say no. Do not delay the evaluation of this block till this completes pre-charge. It is only sufficient for us to know that pre-charging has started. Do not wait till pre-charging is finished. I can start the evaluation of this block earlier. At what time? When this goes into the pre-charge mode. If you can do this, I can have a reduced value for my LR. Understand how? This is my Muller-C element. These are all my Muller-C element. Polarity does not matter. Don't go by bubble or no bubble. Okay? I just aim to explain you the operation. Okay? Rest, how to have a polarity reverse or not polarity, you can design accordingly. Blocks can be designed accordingly. Okay? So now this is in the evaluation mode. Okay? And as I know, this can evaluate only when this finishes pre-charging. I say don't know. Because in that situation, when I get a pre-charged value here, I will have a signal which is consistent with the pre-charging finished of this stage. And this will now signal, this is stage, which will send me a request signal over here, and then this can begin evaluation. This can begin evaluation. Appropriate request signal will be generated in this path, and this will begin evaluation. That means I need to connect these two together, and this should be connected, this should be directly controlled by, the acknowledgement from the previous block. Instead what I do, I break this path, I don't do this, because then both these transistors will operate with this acknowledgement signal. I am saying no, I am not going to wait till this signal comes, which is consistent with the pre-charging of this block. I don't wait. I should be able to allow the evaluation begin of this block the moment this comes into the pre-charging. The moment this comes into the pre-charge. So what I do, I break this connection. There is no connection which is connecting these two. Remember, it is a C-square MOS kind of an implementation. Muller-C element has a C-square MOS kind of an implementation. So what I do, I break it. And remember here, when you enable this block, data over here gets processed. Okay? Or this, whenever you enable it for the pre-charge mode, this will go into the pre-charge. If it is a 1 for evaluation, then 0 will begin for, will be the 1. So suppose this goes into the pre-charge mode. This goes into the pre-charge. You may say, okay, let me say, request signal 1 is a pre-charge mode and request signal 0 is a evaluation. You can accordingly decide. Nobody says you can't do that. Or I can have the reverse also. Okay. So suppose a signal has come. A signal has come, appropriately say it is a 1 signal has come. It is a pre-charge mode. Then this will be 0. Okay. When it is a pre-charging means both signals will be pre-discharged. 1, 1, because I am getting a 1 over here. That means output node will be pre-discharge. It will pre-charge for the signal to go 0. Remember domino? Okay? It's a pre-discharging happening. So pre-discharging happening, say 0 and 0, both nodes will be 0, it will be dual rail logic. Both nodes will be 0, you will get appropriate logic over here, and you will create a block will create a completion signal. It is a completion detector. I get a done signal or a completion signal which goes here. But I do not wait till this point. And I say, let me have the same polarity as you here, If this is giving you a 0, this should also give you a 0. If this gives you a 1, this must also give you a 1. So this is kind of acknowledgement signal which comes earlier. This comes as an acknowledgement signal which comes earlier to delay of these two blocks earlier. I am generating a kind of acknowledgement signal here itself. So the moment this goes 1, it comes into the pre-charge mode. I tap this signal which is a kind of an earlier acknowledgement signal and I give it here. And the moment this comes over here, this comes into the evaluation mode, and I get a kind of signal, requested signal, which starts a 1 over here, or sorry, a 0 over here, and this will begin its evaluation. This can begin its evaluation. So just after this comes, I can have this block going into the evaluation mode. That means I am knocking off my terms from TF and TD, from my reverse latency. I am knocking off. I am knocking off. Remember, I am knocking off the terms from, so acknowledgement is here, actual acknowledgement is here, and I have to move from here to here. This is a evaluation hold reset. So when this is changing from evaluation to hold, this will change from reset to evaluation, and this will change from hold to reset. So ultimately, this will come to hold mode, this will come to evaluation mode, and this will come to the pre-charging mode, ultimately. But I am saying I do not wait for this signal to come. I set the whole pipeline into action by tapping this signal itself, and I get a request signal over here which will make this block to go into the evaluation. So I am knocking off two terms from my reverse latency expression, TF and TD. We are assuming inverter is a part of Malasi element. TF and TD, so my new expression for my reverse latency becomes TC, TF and TD, and only TC. No TF and TD. I am knocking off. I am knocking off. Okay? So can you see I am able to reduce my reverse latency. I am able to reduce my reverse latency. So do not delay. So tip is do not, if you can design properly. Remember, there is a possibility that this takes very less time and data is available here. And meanwhile, the pre-charging is yet not finished. Then what you have to do? You have to make your pre-charging, you have to make that effect of data present here should not affect the pre-charging operation. Should not affect the pre, so you should have a footer domino present over here. You should have a footer domino. So the moment this comes, one, that footer transistor goes to 0. So in that case, even if this is present, my pre-charging operation will not. So I cannot use a footless domino. I hope you understand footer domino and footless domino. The lower evaluation transistor is known as a footer transistor. You may remove it, you may not remove it. Depends, both sides you can work. Accordingly, you have to set the transistor ratios to get the correct function. Remember, do you remember all that? The footer domino and footless domino. Okay? So here, that's what I'm saying. Have the reaction or the pipeline start by using tapping this signal, getting an appropriate signal over here, and this goes into evaluation. Reaction or the design has to be done appropriately, taking into account the data arrival here would be a bit earlier. Data arrival here would be a bit earlier. Clear? So I am able to reduce my reverse latency expression. Reverse latency expression. Okay? So now, next thing. How to reduce the forward latency expression? How to reduce my forward latency? So forward latency, what we do? Remember, when this is evaluation, this has to remain in hold mode. This has to remain in the hold mode. I am saying, do not delay the evaluation of predecessor unless this evaluation has finished. Otherwise, correct operation says, till this evaluates, this should not come into the evaluation mode. This should remain in the hold mode. Now I say, do not delay the evaluation of this block until the evaluation of this next block finishes completely. Don't delay. So this is what is written over here. Do not delay evaluation until predecessor has finished. Oh, I think I am doing a wrong way. I'm telling you a wrong way. What is happening is that when this finishes evaluation, Okay, then only it can come into the evaluation. It should come into the hold mode first, and then the evaluation should begin. Okay, this evaluates, then this evaluates, then this evaluates. So when this finishes evaluation, then only this should come into the evaluation. What I am saying, do not delay the evaluation this block until this finishes evaluation. Now data is moving forward. Data is moving from here to here. Forward latency is coming to picture. When this evaluates completely, I get a data here. Then this evaluates completely, I get a data here. So forward latency, data movement from here to here. I am saying don't wait this block. I am telling this block don't wait till this block finishes evaluation. Don't wait. So that I can cut down on the number of or the expressions for my LF. I can cut down on the expressions for my LF, forward latency. It is actually LF is actually composed of 3 terms, TF, TD and TC. I want to knock off. So what do I do for this? What do I do for this? Again modification is required in Muller-C element. Remember there we broke this connection. We broke this connection. And I tapped a signal in between and returned it appropriately in this so that the pipeline works correctly. Again, the modification is required in the Muller-C element. This is what I do. Now remember C-square MOS logic. Again it is changed. These two are NMOS. And remember these two were earlier PMOSes. Now I convert this to NMOS. And this becomes my output point. Okay, and I connect the gates of these two together. And I generate a signal over here which goes a kind of acknowledgement or evaluation enable signal to this one. How does it help? Data is moving forward from here to here. This is evaluating. Correctly, I should have got this done signal and gone as a request here. But what I am saying, I'm not giving this signal as a request over here. Can you see? This signal is no longer going here as a request. Rather, this is only serving as a acknowledgement. This is only going backwards. And I'm taking the output of this and sending it as a request to the next block. I'm tapping the signal in between and giving it as a naturally the polarity of this signal should be consistent with the polarity you are getting over here. Then only I can use, because my actual operation should not be changed. So if this is a 0, this must also be 0. If this is 1, this must also be a 1. So that the signal that I am getting, they are equal, they are same. Because this should have gone as a request to here. Okay, and then this block will be enabled. I get a enabling signal and this goes into the evaluation mode.
But what if the second block requires data from the first block and the first block is still...
That's what I'm saying. That by the time this goes into proper evaluation, you would have got the data. We pre-calculate how much delay it will take to reach to data line. By the time the block should be moved properly into the evaluation mode. Initially it may not be. But by the time data arrives, it is in the evaluation. This is what we have to ensure. Okay? So what I say, tap this signal in between and give it, which is going as enable for this block. It is evaluating. Ideally, I should have waited for this signal to be generated, complete this signal comes, then going as a request here. Then this gets enabled. I say no, I use this signal itself as a request. So evaluation enablement of this block starts early. Evaluation enablement of this block starts early. As I said, the polarity of these two signals should be consistent with each other. Because now I'm using this as a request. I'm using this signal as a request. So you need to design this block accordingly. If this is going 0, this will be 0. If this is going 1, this would be 0. consistence of priority is a condition here. Now, this comes into the enablement mode, evaluation mode. This goes such that I get an enable signal over here, which brings this block into the evaluation. And by the time it crosses the TC element, because the signal comes here, then there's a delay of T under C. And then only the signal will be generated, and then only this block will be coming into the evaluation mode. By that time, what will happen? This signal, when it was generated, when this finishes, remember, assuming the delays are same for every block, by the time it finishes this, I would have finished through evaluation through this block. So data would be available here at the same time roughly when the enable signal is available here. So this goes into the enable mode or evaluation mode, and by that time data is available. By that time data is available. So I am able to now cut down 2 terms from here. It's only after TC enablement of this block starts. So I am knocking off the T of function block and T of done block. I am knocking off. Yes, careful design is required so that there is no change of operation. Operation should have the same sequence: evaluation, hold, reset. Every block has to go through this sequence: evaluation, hold, reset. Okay? So this is what we get. Okay? So we get a very small latency. Forward is only TF. Latency forward, and this also has a reverse latency, so both the expressions will be reduced. So can you see, in comparison to a global synchronous pipeline, my latency for forward movement is not 1 clock cycle, which is also a worst case delay dependent. Okay, I have now a latency which may be different from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. It may be different because TD, TC and TF will change. They will keep on changing. TC may be same, TD may be same, but TF may change. TF may change, and from there on, by careful design, I can reduce the latency expressions. It is TC, delay of TC only, no? Because it's actually, look here, it is actually TC, forward latency movement from here to here. From here to here is TD, TC and TF. So now it is only TF. Now what I am getting? TF. I say you take it as only one term coming. One term coming. Out of 3 terms, which is a combination of 3 terms, now your LF is made up of only 1 term. It can be any, you can, because I am assuming all 3 blocks to be similar. You may take it as any other block. It can be TC, TF or TD, okay? But actually I am looking it from that angle that it is only going through TC. And then there is no, and by the time it completes this and this, you would have got the signal over here. By the time the signal comes, this enables and this finishes. So movement from here to here is composed of, this does not exist. So when this finishes, it goes through this, it goes Muller-C element. I have the enablement signal. I have the signal over here. It gets processed. That means it is assuming going through a done operation, and the data is, when the signal is available here, by the time my data is available at the output, only 1 term is coming. You can decide which way it is, TC or TD or TF, but there is only 1 term coming into the expression for my L forward. That is when I am assuming. That is when I am assuming all 3 terms are equal. Else I have to make them equal by doing proper design. Otherwise, it may happen the data comes earlier and there may be a conflicting situation at the output of second stage. So that we have to ensure. I am not very particular about whether it's TC or TF or TD. It can be any term, but it is only one single term. LF is composed of only one single term, and LR, which was earlier composed of half of 6 terms, now it is only half of 4 terms. So I am able to speed up my latency or the pipeline, asynchronous pipeline, by doing a careful design, and this careful design is required at the transistor level. This is to be done at the transistor level. Clear? Okay, so this finishes our discussion completely on asynchronous way of designing a pipeline. So we have seen, we were looking at the timing. We were looking at the timing property of a design, a system design. And we have said system is going to be pipeline. We have chosen a pipeline system. Why? Because it gives you a high throughput. It gives you a high throughput. Yes, there is a cost of initial latencies there. But after latency period is over, it gives you a very high throughput. Every cycle there is a new output produced. So we have chosen the pipeline system, and now we are implementing the pipelines. So we have seen there is an open global clock synchronous pipeline, closed loop pipeline, synchronous pipeline, or there is a latch based kind of a pipeline, a variant of the global clock pipeline, where you are, instead of using H-triggered flip-flop, you are using latches, or doing it totally in an asynchronous fashion, doing away with clock and clock distribution. So it is possible for us to implement our pipeline in these different, yes, every method has its own pros and cons. Every method has its own. So pipeline, now regarding this pipeline, we have 2 more things. There are the 3 more things to understand, which are related to this pipeline, because pipeline does not work in isolation. You need to have a clock distribution. You need to have a clock generator. And you need to design the flip-flops. So I need to understand the design of flip-flops or latches. I need to understand the design of, how to do the design of a clock generator, how to control the skew, which is a major point that comes from the clock generation design, a PLL, which generates a clock signal. Okay, and then there is a clock distribution. So unless you complete all these 3 along with pipeline, you cannot understand the timing property of any digital system. So this we will do. Okay, because more or less you people have thorough with registers. Registers design, T setup, T hold, the way of designing registers using master slave configuration, pulsed approaches, pulsed register, okay, and using SR flip-flop or differential. You have done differential way of designing flip-flops, using a differential kind of a structure, or using past transistor logic. How do we design registers? Using gate logic, C-square MOS logic, how to control T setup, T hold, and T clock 2. You know all this? You know all that. Okay, and what is 1-0, 1-1 overlap? How does it affect your system? What's 0-0 overlap? How to design our registers carefully. So one part that you already know, that is register design. Okay, so we should know the register, because every pipeline has an integral part of registers. Because every function block has a inputs coming through registers and output going to a register or a memory element. So register design is very, very important. You cannot, when I say clock to Q, it is a property of flip-flop. Because I said T is a T clock to Q plus T logic plus T setup. So T setup is also a property of the storage element or the flip-flop. So how can I reduce T setup? How can I reduce T clock to Q? How can I reduce T hold? So this is actually a main part, or main issues to be considered while doing a register design. So even if I may not be discussing, it will be a part of this course. Designing those registers, if you are not comfortable, tell me, I will cover that portion in the class. Okay? This is one thing. Second is how to design a clock generator. That will be given you as an assignment, ADPLL design. All digital PLL. How do you design an all digital PLL which generates a clock of your frequency, of your desired frequency with a predetermined skew budget. I will give you this as I'll give you a paper which you will implement as part of your assignment. All digital PLL design, that is completely digitally implemented design of a PLL. So aim of this PLL, whenever we say PLL, it is actually a phased lock loop. You can design it analog way. You can also design it digital way. Okay, so when you design it digitally, it is all composed of digital gates. Very easy to design. You can write a VHDL code and then implement it, or you can design the schematic and then draw the layout and then test it by using simulators. You can do it both ways. Okay, aim of any PLL is to take an external crystal clock signal, which is usually a very low frequency but has highly stable. Has property of highly stability, but it is usually a very low frequency, maybe a piezoelectric crystal you are taking, which is introducing a kind of a pulse signal. But you take this signal, give it as an input to a PLL, and then it generates a stable clock signal of a high frequency value that you desire. Because crystal clock does not give you a high frequency. If you want a high frequency, design a PLL. Input can be an external clock coming from a crystal oscillator. So how do you design? That's what I will be now sending you immediately. Paper will be sent to you, and you have to, or you know VHDL, implementation, simulation using model sim, or the cadence environment to draw the schematic and layout. This is one assignment which is same for all of you. You can discuss, you can implement, but come out with the best way. Come out with the best way as far as possible. I have a faith on your integrity. Don't try to copy with each other. Try to have your own design, because what design may be given in the paper, you may try to deviate from it. Try to see what deviation you can do, what innovativeness you can bring in. Try to deviate from it and create your own design. Okay? Clear? So this is PLL that you will be learning through assignment. I will discuss clock distribution network design in the class. Here is where you look at the skew. How to minimize the skew. Remember the delta, positive skews and the negative skew. So how do we design a clock distribution network to minimize on the skew or to remain within the skew budget? To remain within the skew budget. A simple example I'll take to illustrate you the nuances of the clock distribution network design. Okay, but before that, now, before I move deeply into the more timing properties of any digital system to which all these things are related, I will start. I think it is good to have a good discussion on the interconnects or the wires. Because wires also are an important part, and you may get performance affected by improper wiring. When I say improper wiring, means to me, simulations may not be good, drivers design may not be good, signal deflections are taking place, excessive delays are taking place in the wires. Okay? So, it's a problem for me. I should lay out my interconnects in a proper way. What are the issues that I should consider regarding interconnects when I am designing? You may say, what is interconnect? Signal is traveling, nothing is happening, no data processing. I say no. There is more than that into a wire design. Much more than that into a wire design. And hence its modeling should be known to us. How to model them properly. So that when you simulate, you get actual results. That will be very much consistent with what you will be getting after fabrication. And how do you design the drivers? If you do not have proper termination of a transmission line, which is the actual modeling of a wire, I may get my signal reflections happening. That may lead to ringing of the signal, or that may lead to excessive delays coming into picture. And then I should also know how to encode my signals properly. How do I map a signal in terms of physical quantities? physical quantities. Here we have only two physical quantities, current and. So what kind of signaling I should choose? And how do we know which signaling is the best? So signaling is not a way of transmitting a signal from one end to the next end. It is also looking at a way how to encode your data. How to encode your data. And once you have chosen the way to encode your data, encoding again two parts, whether you want to send it as a current or a voltage, and secondly, whether you want to send it as a binary or a ternary or a multivalue. Ternary is a multi-value logic. What are the issues that you should look at by choosing one of those particular way of sending your data, encoding your data? What are the ways? Usually binary is very, very successful. It is very, very easy to implement. But then we should know. We should know the ways to choose. And once you know the signal encoding, next thing is, I should understand how much delay I will get when a signal is flying from one end to the next end. How to estimate that delay? What will be the power consumption? How much energy consumption I have per bit of any bit transmitting through a wire? What are the ways in which you can reduce the delays? So this is all some issues that are related to the wire designs, a proper wire designs and wire analysis. So design is something that goes hand in hand with analysis. You cannot synthesize without analysis. Okay, so this is what all I need to discuss. Mainly the book that I will be consulting is Daly's book for wires. Yes, a little bit of it is also given in the Rabbes. Okay. So as I said, signaling. So signaling is not just one thing. As I said, it mainly when I say signaling, the impression comes is a method used to transmit digital information from one location to. Immediately you will say this definition. What is signaling? And wire is an important part of signal. So I cannot understand wire in an isolation. I cannot understand. Okay? So when you start signaling, then wires come into picture, then you should know how to model a wire. So naturally you don't care about it when you run cadence, because wire models are integrated into the simulator. Just as MOSFET models are integrated into the simulator. But then as a good designer I should also know, because unless you know the modeling, designing of wires will not come so efficiently to you. It will not come. So when I say signaling, naturally that shows or it determines the kind of signaling you are choosing. It determines the reliability, speed, power consumption of the system. As I said, there are many parts to signaling. First is signal encoding in terms of physical quantities like current and voltage. Then when I am sending a signal, whether it is low or high, it has to be measured against a reference. Then only you know whether the signal transmitted is low. How would receiver know whether it is a low level signal transmitted? So we need to generate references against which the physical quantity is measured, and accordingly we say a data 0 is transmitted or a data 1 transmitted. Okay, and then we have to provide or we have to design the transmission line. Designing of the wires appropriately, because if wire is behaving like a transmission line, I should design my driver accordingly. I may not be designing my wire. I may not be, but I should be designing my driver, which is at the receiver end, which is at the transmitter end. And if impedances of these two drivers are not proper, my signal will never reach from source to destination. So design of drivers is very, very important. Or you can say design of transmitter and receiver is very, very important. So my transmitter may not have a proper impedance. It should be succeeded by a driver which has a proper output impedance which matches with the impedance of the transmission line. Similarly, the signal is traveling through transmission line. It has to get absorbed at the destination end, because if it reflects back, it will interfere. Not only it will not reach my end, my destination also, it will start interfering with the next bit, which might have started from the source end. So a proper design of drivers is required. And then signal transitions, we have to limit how many times the signal is transmitted, because that not only requires a wide spectrum, where we know that bandwidth is always at a premium. So we should know that within less premium, we should be able to send as many bits as possible to achieve a higher data rate. Bandwidth is never sufficient for us, whereas reality is that bandwidth available to us is very, very mediocre, very, very small, limit. It is a limited value. And still I want to operate a high, I want to achieve a high bit rate. Clear? So, design parameters that you design when you design the system, a complete noise immunity. Okay? Design of a very clear transmitter and receiver, as I said, references or detection threshold across which the physical quantities are measured. And then design of output impedance of drivers. And then we should also know how much energy, because we want to save on power consumption. So we should be able to calculate for every signal encoding way how much energy is expended per bit of flight through the wire. I should know whether sending a current is more power economical or sending a voltage is more economical. Sending a binary signal is more economical or sending a pulse signal is more economical. Or sending by signal in differential fashion is more economical. You can have a differential signaling also. And then we want to achieve incident wave switching. Incident wave switching is ideal way of transmitting the data bit. That is, signal travels from the source, reaches the destination and gets fully absorbed there. No reflection back. That is called as incident wave switching. This is the ideal way of transmitting the data through a wire. So as I said, there are two ways in which you can send electronics. It is either as a voltage quantity or as a current. So we have two types of signaling in terms of physical quantities: conventional full swing voltage mode CMOS signaling and low swing current mode signaling. So when I say full swing here and it's a low swing here, that means span is less in current mode, it is more in voltage mode CMOS. It is very easy for us to implement this, but you will see as very soon this is more efficient way of sending the data. Okay? So now, when we say, so suppose I explain the whole thing by taking an example. Okay? We have to have a communication between two 3.3 volt VDD CMOS circuits. So one CMOS here, another CMOS here, and signal is traveled from the output of this to the input of this. And both are operating at a VDD of 3.3 and both are designed using a CMOS methodology. Okay, so there is a communication between two blocks. It's an on-chip system. Okay, signal is traveling from one end to the next end, and these blocks are operating with a voltage of 3.3 volts, and the frequency you want to achieve is 100 megahertz, with which the digital system must be operating. Okay, and then there is a length of 1 meter wire through which the signal is getting transmitted from one source to the destination. So 1 meter wire, because usually shorter length wires do not create any problem. It's only the large length wires which create a problem. That is why throughout this example or this discussion, my focus will be on larger length wires. Okay, so we have 1 meter wire and the wire impedance is given as a 50 ohms. Wire is behaving like a transmission line with its characteristic impedance as 50 ohms, and we want the signal to cover this 1 meter length in 6 nanoseconds. And then I am given the noise parameters of my system. There is a transmitter, there is a receiver. So there is a, you can say, noise associated with transmitters and receivers, and also with power supply. Power supply noise will be there. So certain parameters are given. External power supply noise, 300 millivolt you will get. Crosstalk from adjacent lines, interference, EMI interference. Because wires are laid parallel to each other, there is a crosstalk happening because of mutual capacitive coupling or mutual inductive coupling. So that is leading to a 10% of crosstalk. Termination mismatch, suppose my terminations are not proper, impedances are not properly matched, I may get another 10% of a noise from there. Power supply noise external, this is self-induced power supply when the noise is taking power supplies are swinging. It is 10% and common mode gain is very, very small, is for the driver design. Common mode, when you have something as a common mode, remember differential, when you have something as a common mode that rejects noise. Remember that there is a common mode operation, there is a difference. So you can design your drivers as a differential also, as a differential structure also. So common mode of a system, gain of a system is 0.01. So let us understand under the effect of these parameters, how does a voltage signaling compares with a current mode signal. So this I will start in my next class. Okay. Okay, so I will be sending that paper to all of you to go also. As I said, you will have to